Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to discuss the changes in the nodes of fate as they change signs on July 26th, with the North Node entering Aquarius, the South Node entering Leo, and shifting our collective growth trajectory into new areas of ourselves and of the world that are divinely timed here for our own growth, creativity, and development. So whenever the nodes of fate change signs, which occurs every 18 months, we enter into a new playing field of growth that stretches us, where we're meant to acknowledge where mastery has been learned and obtained, and then be willing to move ahead onto the new endeavors and next chapters that our soul growth is ready for. So this cycle means that we're moving into the growth and development potentials of Aquarius. The North Node in Aquarius is going to bring up new themes around being more authentic, independent, collaborative, and innovative in our life choices. Of course, I'm going to go into that more in today's show. And the South Node in Leo means we are releasing and ending attachments to who we used to be that aren't in alignment with our future self. We are understanding what has run its course in our own habits, patterns, and need for recognition and approval. We're going to be seeing where a new source of internal light and internal power is ready to be birthed and strengthened. Now, the South Node represents what is familiar, what is known. This is what you've already mastered, in fact, because that South Node is a recognition of what you have already obtained, experienced, and lived through. And now is a time to close out what you are outgrowing, what is no longer a match for you, what doesn't light you up, but instead maybe drains your energy. This is where the South Node in Leo themes are going to become more apparent over the next 18 months of what you're ready to do differently, because it's being sourced from a new place within you that you're meeting for the first time. So if you have planets or points in Leo, the South Node is going to move across these energies over the next 18 months, and it's going to reveal what you're ready to end, complete, and step away from. I'm going to go into more specifics in this show, but this is essentially what the South Node is bringing to your attention, is that there are chapters of your life, expressions of your self-identity, and parts of your world that are meant to phase out starting in late July into late March 2028. So that is the 18-month journey here of that South Node in Leo, is that you're going to experience changes in the Leo house or houses in your chart, as well as the Leo planets in your chart, that are actually being rebirthed by expanding you into the North Node in Aquarius expressions and themes. And so for all of us, we're moving further into the North Node in Aquarius areas of growth, which is about looking at the bigger picture of your life, what you're creating and how it affects others, what your contributions are through a broader lens, looking at what you're offering, giving, and valuing that affects others. This includes, for example, building authentic communities, creating more meaningful connections based on your authenticity, being willing to do something that is advantageous to many people, not just to yourself, considering new future possibilities and unconventional paths that now you're being drawn to. So let's dive into more of the specifics here of what this Node of Fate's transit is going to offer all of us, because this is going to help you see what is closing out and ending in your life and why. Now, I do want to highlight that the last time we had this experience of the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius was December 2007 until August 2009. It could help to look back on those years in your life, again, December 2007 to August 2009, and identify what changed for you that required you to release your ego, step away from anything that was too self-involved or self-focused, required you to see a bigger picture viewpoint of others, your life path, group endeavors, community connections, also to look at new parts of yourself that you were meeting and experiencing for the first time that were actually more authentic and more true to untapped personal talents and personal gifts. Now, that previous cycle of late 2007 into 2009 is when the nodes of fate were last in this particular astrological pairing, but the energies on the planet were very different. So what people tend to think is, oh, worst case scenarios, or oh, this was such a hard time, or oh, this was happening to me. But I want to highlight that there would have been other transiting planets in different parts of your chart that were also part of the story. And that's not the case anymore. In other words, this is going to be a different experience of this North Node and South Node because of where the outer planets are now, which is they are in fire and air signs, which means they're going to be trining, sextiling, and making conjunctions to these nodes of fate. That is going to be a topic we will explore further on as that energy approaches. But in this show, we're just sticking with the basics of the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius so that you can see the themes that are going to be coming up for you. So let's start with that South Node in Leo, and the patterns that are going to be phased out is ultimately going to lead to recreating yourself, your life, and those planets in Leo with a new life force. And so keep in mind that the South Node is meant to be an area of your life that experiences cosmically timed changes to help you continually grow, evolve, and improve. And so we have to be consciously aware of the changes that are happening and why, so that you can remain focused on the big picture and not be holding on too tightly to what is expiring. Now, keep in mind that both the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius are fixed signs. And these are the energies that don't want to budge, that resist change, that don't want anything to be uncomfortable, shocking. They don't want to be blindsided. These are the energies that like to know what is consistent and reliable. What can I count on? What can I turn to that is steady and true? And the South Node is saying that actually you're moving into a new start here. So you've got to allow matters of the past or previous versions of what you've created and what you wanted to be removed so that you have room in your life, in your aura, in yourself for these new future directions that the North Node in Aquarius will be bringing in. And so what the South Node in Leo is going to be removing are the lower expressions of Leo that might be holding you back or keeping you stuck. And these can be unconscious. They do include the ways that we seek recognition, approval, or admiration from others, how we define our self-worth and talents through visibility, status, or specialness. That Leo energy likes to stand out from the crowd, likes to be the star, wants to be seen for who it really is. And those are beautiful qualities. But the South Node is saying there's actually a turnover here that's healthy for you, that's good for you, so that you're not staying stuck in anything that's actually an old identity or a limited version of who you're becoming. There can also be some patterns that have to be cleared out around a strong attachment to a personal image, reputation, legacy, or identity. There could be areas of your life that you're already sensing it's okay to let that be. I don't have to hold that so tightly or keep that so close as my only self-identity. I can allow myself to grow into the next version of myself by not remaining stuck in something that is only going to limit me. There can be a tendency with Leo energies to be dramatic in emotional responses, to believe that you have to demonstrate that you're lovable and worthy of being loved. This can show up through the need to be performative, dramatic, achievement-oriented, or you have to do something to be the best. There can be a hyper competitiveness here that can show up, and that South Node in Leo is saying it's okay to let that go and to know that you don't have to demonstrate that you're always the best or that you have to be the best in order to be truly loved, seen, and valued. And so this can certainly move through one's self-identity at an egoic level. This can feel like an ego death is happening, where an old version of self is meant to fall away so that it can grow, so that it can be rebirthed and recreated. This can show up as well as removal of leadership responsibilities. Maybe there's things you don't want to hold or carry on anymore. Maybe there's things that are actually draining you, but you felt obligated to it, that others were depending upon you and that you needed to be the leader. And maybe you're reassessing what that really means to you. And is it good for your heart? And that's something that I feel the South Node in Leo is going to be bringing us back to, is I can understand maybe what is good for my ego or what's good for my talents and my skills and being courageous and being seen with the confidence of who I am. But is it good for my heart? What does my heart need now? And that heart energy, I think, is actually going to be coming out. It's going to be strengthened, and it's going to be a big part of what is being recreated. And so this could show you old patterns in love, desire, passion, and relationships that weren't truly based in your heart. Maybe they were about other things. Maybe they represented something different, or even at the time, it was connected to your heart, and now your heart is different, your heart has grown, and you're more in connection with what you need. And so the changes that are unfolding with the South Node in Leo are going to reveal some beautiful new layers within the heart that could feel vulnerable at first, almost like, is it okay to show this part of myself? Is it okay for this to be seen? And then you're going to be working with that Leo courage to say, yes, it is. It's okay to be seen in this energy, to have confidence around what I feel and what's going on inside of me. This also is going to lend itself to stirring up new passion, new desire, new love, and new energies that you're ready for because of what you're releasing and clearing out. So it's a very interesting dance with the South Node, because the South Node will signal what is completing because you've mastered it, because you've been there, done that. You went through that level, you're ready for the next level, and it's your willingness to move away from something that's old that's actually going to feel like you are in control of these changes. Because with the South Node, there can be things developing and ending that are outside of your control. It feels like I didn't choose this. I didn't actively want this. I didn't engage my willpower in this decision or in this life change. But what's happening now is that South Node is setting you free. But you have to have the willingness to see it that way. And with the fixed signs, it takes time. It takes time. It can't be forced. You're on your own timeline at times, but then something can shift and you realize, I am done with that. I am okay letting that go. Now, of course, it will depend on which planet or planets you have in Leo, because that is going to be the energy of release, rebirth, and recreation that you're experiencing. But this is essentially a heads up that the Leo energies in your chart are meant to have new expressions. And the more willing you are to detach, to remove, and to release your grasp, the easier it's going to be ultimately to allow your own recreation journey to unfold and to feel powerful while doing so. See, this is different than the previous nodes of fate journey in Virgo and Pisces, which are mutable signs. And the mutable signs can be ready for change, but more indecisive or more hesitant. This is the energy of, I want to actively choose the change, but in this transit, you're not choosing it. Your soul is. Your higher self is saying, okay, we're moving on. We're moving forward. Ready or not, this is happening. And it's almost like the ego determines, how hard is this going to be? Like, how much am I going to hang on to here? Because I've over-identified with it. I've overly integrated it, and I'm realizing I am more than this. I am open to my own recreation process, my own rebirth process. That can feel exciting. And when that Leo energy gets on board with the excitement and inspiration of the new potentials, then something kicks into gear and you're willing to let go and release the old, because now your sights are set on what can be experienced next. This can bring alive more areas of life that you want to experience that are connected to your natural creativity, your artistic expression. You feel more charismatic. There can be more courage that comes about after you've released the old. You could feel more passionate. You could also feel that you've been cleansed and purged of the old, especially if something has been lingering in the heart space or in your solar plexus where your power is. If you have felt that's been infiltrated or distorted or something has still been residing there, this energy is going to support you in clearing that out so that you can have a powerful new start. And so the new beginnings that are happening for all of us is where you have Aquarius energies in your chart. And if you have planets or points in Aquarius, the North Node is going to come through and support the ongoing growth, development, and evolution of these areas of your life. Think of that North Node as the qualities the soul is learning to embody and embrace. And this includes a deeper understanding of your authentic gifts, your innate intelligence, your ability to think outside the box, to stand on your own, to be different, to be unique, to be in your true individual expression, and to not be concerned about external pressure, what other people say, what else is going on in the world. There is a new comfort here in being unique and being an individual. Now, the Aquarius energy is interesting because it's usually associated with community and groups. It is the energy of all the people we know in the world. It is social media. It is networking. It is the people you reach out to and you know them casually, or perhaps it's your acquaintances. Often Aquarius is associated with our friendships and our allies. And so all of that is valid. Those are all Aquarian themes. But to have those healthy connections in your life, people who really get you, people who maybe share the same passion or world vision or have something in common with your energy, it's based on you fully owning who you are as a unique, different individual. It's based on your desire to simply be yourself without holding back your truth or your individual essence in order to belong. And sometimes that Aquarius energy gets overly focused on belonging, on fitting in, on being a part of the group in a way that negatively impacts your unique self-identity. And so this is actually going to be a North Node in Aquarius that pushes you to an edge in yourself, an edge in your authenticity. It's going to ask you to strike out and do something different that maybe surprises people, that seems like a wild card, that is like this random pivot. And they're like, what are they doing? I didn't know they could do this. I didn't know they wanted this. I didn't know this was who they were. And so what it's supporting is allowing us to be more of our true selves without thinking we have to fit in to society. And I can tell you, as an astrologer who has been in this profession for decades and who has watched how astrology has infiltrated the mainstream, and has heard all the opinions, all the feedback, all the criticisms, all the perspectives, blah, blah, blah. And hearing all of the energy that is around astrology, and some people saying, well, I don't know if I believe in that stuff, or I don't know if that's for me. And you know what? To each their own. Fair is fair. No one's selling you anything you don't want to buy. Like, definitely believe or subscribe to whatever supports you. But one thing that is interesting is that people will say, well, what does society think about this? Like, what is society, or what do people think, or what does the group think? And my response is, I am society. I am people. I am a part of the collective. So what I think also matters. It's not only what they think. It's not like it's only these other people who determine the rules or what is expected. I am society. So I am a part of them. They are a part of me. And if we're different, that's beautiful. That's diversity. That's actually a wonderful gift of ongoing collective evolution and intelligence, to be able to have viewpoints and perspectives that differ from yours, that give you more things to consider, but to not lose track of your own thoughts, your own personhood, and your own ability to stand strong in who you are amongst those differences. And so the Aquarius energy can go into making everyone the other, or believing that it's the group think that matters more so than the individual. And these are the limited perspectives of Aquarius energy, where the individual is a part of the group. The individual contributes to the mosaic. This is where the oneness energy begins to connect. The oneness of humanity, the oneness of the collective, where we understand that, yes, we're all going to be different. We're all going to have our different opinions and thoughts and feedbacks and wants and needs and blah, blah, blah. But that's what makes it beautiful. In fact, that's how I even see the world of astrology, the community of astrology. Like, we need multiple perspectives in this profession and community. We need different people stepping forward with their expertise and their experience to keep contributing to this ongoing dialogue in astrology. And I'm using astrology because it is an Aquarius ideal. It is an Aquarius profession. And it's where we have the differences and the things that we don't agree on that strengthen our own thoughts and our own understandings. So this is part of that North Node in Aquarius. Yes, there will continue to be a rise in astrology as an example, but it's because we are rising in the collective oneness field, where we're not having to disagree with everyone about everything, right? Let people have their own experience. Live and let live. You don't have to make arguments out of everything that you disagree with. The North Node in Aquarius is going to increase these energies of the collective and support us in being comfortable in our unique gifts and seeing how it's these unique perspectives, different viewpoints, different visions that contribute to where we're going, how we're evolving. This also supports being more objective in standing back and saying their path formed them. Their life experiences formed who they are. It doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be compared. Allow each person or each thing to stand on its own and allow it to be something that beautifully contributes to the collective global energies and experiences at this time. So we're learning that everyone has value, and it's not just the most visible person in the room, which would actually go back to that South Node in Leo. It's about us. It's about how we are all working together. We're all on team human, and we're all contributing to something bigger than ourselves in this cycle. This can also show up as leading through new ideas, leading through new visions, solutions, and innovations that humanity is ready for, creating more networks and communities that bring people together and empower them. It can also support feeling that you shine and you're needed as an individual without requiring a lot of validation or recognition. We want to have more of an authentic impact in the world. We want to participate and show up. We want to be in the game and experiencing this together and discussing it and talking about it. And that becomes strengthened more so than anything performative, ego-based, or simply being admired and recognized. There's also the themes here of that South Node in Leo can be focused on personal glory, how the individual stands out and shines, what makes that person so special. But the move here into the North Node in Aquarius is like, but what's our collective contribution? How are we all together shining? What does this look like at a planetary level when you have multiple empowered people standing in their gifts, feeling strong and lit up in their sense of purpose, in their soul purpose? And then how does that impact the world and the collective field? So we are basically zooming out on our worldview and on our individual perspectives to see something in a much bigger way, to find fulfillment in new ways, and to be open to more of ourselves that we haven't met before. And that's going to be a big part of the North Node in Aquarius, is that you might be surprised at more of your gifts and your abilities. There could be things that awaken within you spontaneously. That is an Aquarius theme, where all of a sudden you just feel more psychic, you're more clairvoyant, you're getting more images and downloads, and you don't know what to do with it, but it's coming through pretty fast and clear. I think we're going to have some profound awakenings with the North Node in Aquarius. We're going to see things in a whole new way. We're going to read energy in a very powerful way. And it's going to be very clear, like a laser focused understanding of something. So we're going to be moving into activations of our third eye chakra, our crown chakra, and working with these new energies to make decisions, to create our future, and to move ahead. And all of that will be more steady for you as you release any over attachment to the Leo energies of who you knew yourself to be, who you thought you were, or who you've been up until this cycle. Because I think that that's where there's going to be some very clear shifts around what those planets in Leo have claimed. And that's something that the fixed signs do, is that they claim, they take ownership. They say, this is mine, I own this. And there's going to be things that you have to release, step away from, detach from, sell, or give away, simply because it isn't in alignment with where you're going and where this North Node in Aquarius is taking you to. It is next level. The North Node in Aquarius is next level, and you might not see it in the moment if you're overly attached to something. I'm seeing a visual of energy being in the solar plexus that is being rejuvenated, reprogrammed, and released by the incoming downloads from above, from that crown chakra and third eye chakra, are essentially infiltrating what has been, it feels locked. It actually feels quite dense. There could be a density and a heaviness with the solar plexus that has accumulated over the past 18 years. This is an 18-year refresh. And it's interesting because I feel the energy go to the solar plexus. And then once something is released and let go of, that is no longer truly connected to how you feel empowered and strong, then I feel the energy go up to the heart chakra and just like blast open. And that something opens and there's new movement and growth, and there's a new passion that arrives, a new passion for life, for self, for others. There's also something here that's bringing you alive in your creative essence. And part of the changes you're feeling could be you're ready to create a new version of life that is calling to you, that next vision, that next dream, that next experience that maybe you've been slowly getting ready for, and then something bursts open and you feel a shift. And that is something else with the fixed signs, is that even though there can be strong resistance to change, when that willingness kicks in, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, when that willingness to release and have the next experience occurs, the shift happens quickly. The dam breaks, if you will. The energy is released, and then it's ready to go in the next version. So I hope that makes sense. But essentially, this is a nodal shift that's going to take us to wild, unpredictable places, that we're going to be experiencing more life developments that we can't plan, that maybe come about quickly, but also feel like they're beautifully aligned with this new chapter in your life. So if you do not have planets or points in Leo or Aquarius, you would then be looking at where this north node and south node are moving through your chart by house or houses. Now, the north node and south node start at the final degrees of each sign. So they're beginning at 29 degrees of Aquarius and 29 degrees of Leo. And over the next 18 months, it will move backwards to get to 0 degrees of Aquarius, 0 degrees of Leo by March 26, 2028. So the nodes of fate are starting in your chart at 29 degrees of Aquarius and 29 degrees of Leo. That is the house or houses you want to identify, as this is where the life changes are occurring for you and where the recreation process is unfolding. I will be doing more podcast episodes for you on this topic, but I just wanted to do a broader understanding of these energies, more of a lay of the land, so you have a heads up on the themes and expressions that will be shifting. Also important again to look back on when this cycle last happened for you, 2007 to 2009, as it was moving through the same houses in your chart that the nodes of fate will be moving through in this cycle. And so you have a heads up into the areas of life where these changes are going to be occurring. So again, we will keep talking about this, keep discussing it, especially as we move into the second half of 2026. But I hope this allows you to see the changes that are right on time in your life and to ensure that your ego is on board, you're open to what is being removed and released, and perhaps also giving you a bigger picture understanding of what you're calling in and focusing on that is meant to take you forward and advance you. So as always, it's never boring here on planet Earth. But thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast episode. I'll be back every Wednesday and Monday for a new episode. The Wednesday episodes are where we discuss the weekly energies, and then the Monday episode is always a special topic. So I look forward to connecting with you more soon, wishing you a beautiful day ahead wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you back here soon. Take good care.